There's a couple of things you're going to learn today, a couple of basic rules that I hope you'll be able to carry through to any sort of boat you sail. Okay, we're going to start off by playing a little short clip of a guy called Lawrence, who's an absolute hero in the Southern Oceans, because in Australia, he is the guy that knocked 5 minutes off their racetrack time. And not because he was a fabulous sailor, but it was because he was willing to be videoed by me so I could show everybody the mistakes he was making. Okay, so Lawrence is the hero. And we shot this quite a long time ago, so the technology was fairly basic at that stage. But Lawrence, I've got to say, was a fit guy. He knew what sailing kit to wear, of course. But this is where I empathise with every coach, because as a coach's perspective at the moment, looking at Lawrence, he looks like a great sailor. He looks fantastic. What have I got to fault him on? Not very much. Perhaps he's not trimming his mane as much as he should do. But what else can I see wrong with Lawrence's, treatment of the boat? It looks fine to me. Thank goodness we've got a camera on the back of the boat. And that camera's going to tell us quite a few things. The first thing it shows me is that's Lawrence on exactly the same reach we just saw. And that's how much rudder he's got on. And if you've ever pulled a rudder through some water on your pontoon, at that angle, you know what drag that's causing. So he's got some issues, but the coach might not have spotted that. I couldn't see it from the rib, but that is a bit of a crucial problem with Lawrence's sailing. In fact, I chose Lawrence because he said to me he kept capsizing in strong winds, and I said, Lawrence, I'll pick a windy day, I'll get a cameraman out, and we'll watch you go sailing, because I'm pretty sure I know exactly what the problems you've got in sailing. You've got your red wire plugged in your green socket and your green wire plugged in your red socket. And we're going to solve your problem in a day. So sure enough, he turned up to Stokes Bay. He didn't count on 35 knots, but he was game for a laugh. He did a jibe here. He manages to get round okay. And actually, I'm getting quite nervous. He said he capsized a lot. But so far, he's looking like he's in control. But I'm still expecting him to blow it for us, so fingers crossed we can find Lawrence's key problems. And they are pretty much the fact that he thinks the rudder is the way you steer the boat. And we can start to see, as we get him to bear away now in a second, and start to go more on a run, where this causes him some serious problems. Now, as soon as we start to look inside the boat, after he's borne away, I can tell you exactly what the problems are. So I've just whistled him and said, come on, bear away a bit. I want to see that tippy dangerous moment, please. And things from outside the boat now, from the rib, are starting to look a little dodgy. And thank goodness, yes, he's doing just what I thought he would. His red wire is in his green socket and his green wire is in his red socket, because things are going to go slightly wrong for him in a second. In fact, if he pushes the rudder one more time, I think he's going to go for a swim. Stop pushing the rudder, Lawrence. Oh no, you've done it again. He's in the water. Right, fantastic. Thank goodness for that. Lawrence was the guy that we needed to pick for this moment. He's a very good swimmer, by the way. So, what Lawrence didn't realise is that there's a law. I don't know if you've got it Steve Cockerill's first law, but it's my first law. If you pull the rudder towards you, the boom will go towards the water. It will. It's a law. Okay? If you push the rudder away from you, the boom will go away from the water. And you can see it happening. If I pull the rudder towards me, it wants to do this. Okay? And what it's also doing, as well as lifting the back of the boat up, it's also moving the wetter surface area forward, because it's a little lifting plane. So what does it actually do? When you move the wetter surface area forward, means that the sail area is even further behind the centre of pivot of the boat. So the boat wants to go towards the wind. So it's a Murphy's law. It's a Murphy thing. This thing here doesn't behave nicely. It wants to do the opposite. Now, we know why Lawrence is trying to bear away at the moment, don't we? Because we've heard it in the bar. We've heard people saying, oh, in the gust, I bore away and went faster. We've heard it? Yeah? We've said the words, bearing away. Well, the good sailors don't know it, because they probably just do it instinctively. But when they bear away, they don't use this thing. They let the sail out a bit. Okay? Lawrence doesn't know that. He's done too much yacht sailing, so he thinks bearing away is turn the wheel a bit, and somebody else will take care of the mainsail, So that's his problem. So it's made things worse. Obviously, at some point, eventually, with enough rudder applied and enough boat bearing away and enough water aerating the local fish population very nicely, eventually it will bear away and the power will be reduced. The problem is then, when the power is reduced, Lawrence wants to power up. So how do you think Lawrence wants to power up? Go on, have a guess. He pushes the rudder away from him. And of course, that makes the boat roll on top of him even more, and now he's even more underpowered. And of course, pushing the rudder away from you when you're underpowered, second law counts, you go splosh to windward, because the rudder is a lifting plane. Fundamentally, Lawrence thinks this is the way you sail a boat. And what I want to try and explain to you guys is, fundamentally, you sail a boat with the thing that's flapping around in the wind. Okay? That's the fundamental part of this talk, really. So if you can watch Lawrence for a little while, he's doing a really good job. And I think this is even before he's borne away a bit. But every pitch of the boat from port to starboard is caused by his rudder. If you start to watch the horizon really carefully, you'll see the horizon twitches as he uses it. It's all from him. And I've been there. I've been a 12-year-old in a full rig laser, sitting at the back of the boat, scared to death, doing this, rolling from side to side. I didn't know what I was doing wrong. But thankfully I'd spent long enough at it. I'm the anorak of the sailing world and eventually got good at it. But I understand what this rudder's doing for him. Can you see the subtleness of the pitching? Every time he pulls, every time he pushes, it goes to windward. Every time he pulls, it goes to leeward. Okay, so this is fundamental laws. It's not to say the rudder can't be used, because there are times when bringing the boom towards the water might be really useful. Okay, when you're about to do a death roll. Okay? There are times when you're on a heel, pushing the rudder away from you, might be a useful thing because you're going to capsize to leeward. Okay? That's his little swim moment. Thanks, Lawrence. So, with that in mind, two laws we've just refreshed. I think we develop it for quite a long time on the DVDs, and we talk to Lawrence and interview him and go through the process of all the problems he's having. There's one bit on the DVDs that we didn't cover. Now, I'm reasonably sure it's because the quality of the video was so poor at this particular moment in 2001 or something that the editor decided to leave it out. But it's one of those gems you only get as you coach for like 8 or 10 years, and you have a series of video clips and you see something really, a unique series of events. So this next clip is a unique series of events. It'll take me a couple of minutes to get to it, so be slightly patient. Nearly there. Here we go. Okay, it's called the bums out or shoulders out bit. And it seems unrelated to what we've talked about, but actually it's not, as we discuss it and we go through it. It's a very grainy bit of video, I'm going to apologise for, but like I say, the unique series of events in this video are so good, they're worth putting up with the grainy image. So here I am, I'm at the West Strongay in the southwest at a good coaching weekend, being organised by a couple of rugby players because their daughters sail. And there's loads of people who have come down to this coaching weekend because the youth nationals are going to be here. And there's a guy here that's come down from Manchester who's come down to practice at the venue to get used to it. Anyway, the first girl that goes around here, I think she's now our topper national coach a few years ago. The guy in blue. The guy in blue. I don't know his name. I apologise if he's in the audience, because I really would wish I could have helped him at the time, because he's the guy that is kind of the centre of this particular video sequence. At that coaching weekend, I didn't spot this sequence. I didn't understand this until about 6 months later and went, wow, what a gem I found in my video archive. So, guy in blue, he's I'm going to call the bum out man, okay? The guy coming around in red, he's the guy that comes from Manchester. He's keen. He told me he's going to win the Youth Nationals, and next he's going to take the national title off me. He's going to beat me at the Radio Nationals. I said, great, go for you. Go for it. So he's a blur in red at the moment, but we're going to notice he's got a different style about him. He did win the Youth Nationals, actually, but he didn't beat me in the Radio Nationals. Anyway, that's enough said. So they suddenly go alongside each other, and you might think, the guy in red light's going high, I don't know, but I'm going to isolate this, and I'm going to isolate their styles if I can get the right moment. So I have to kind of concentrate to find the right moment to accentuate their styles as best I can. Right. At that moment, this guy looks as quick as that lovely girl called Lily who won a gold medal at the Olympics. At that moment, this person looks fabulous. At this moment, this guy's having a little bit of a tea break. It's the downwind time to have a rest, you know? But I'm kind of like, I guess I'm studying them on form, like you would study a horse racer or a horse or whatever. The form on these two boats, I instantly know this guy's going to be hard to pass. I know this guy's going to be pretty easy. Now let's explain why I think that. This guy here, have you noticed just they're slightly more heel to windward? Okay, I'm not going to try and observe their body stance just yet. This guy here is slightly heel to leeward. Okay, now that might seem really minimal, okay, but what that does is, if you were to add something really fantastically positive to both boats, let's say 10 knot gust comes along, 10 knots more than normal, and hits both boats, whoosh, the hand of God, you might call it, okay? So at this point here, this boat being heeled slightly to leeward might have a bit of an issue because the weather hound is going to be increasing as the gust hits. That weather hound will load up, it'll start taking him towards the wind, it won't take him towards the mark. If he reacts really quickly, maybe it's not going to be too much of a loss, but we'll talk about how he can react to it in a second because we need to look at his body stance in a minute. This guy, well, he's kind of ready for it, you know. The whole boat is primed, ready for this positive moment. You know, it's heel to windward slightly, it's going to go straight away. No weather hound, it's already gone. The boat is just whoosh, gone quick. Okay? Now you might like to wonder why it is this guy feels comfortable heeling to windward, and this guy tends to feel uncomfortable. Now it's going to be down to their body stance, so you're going to have to watch me having a rest. Okay, so the guy on the left, he's had a hard time. He got to the first mark second, he's worked really hard, okay? And it's rest time. So he's kind of got the shoulders in, the bum's near the edge of the boat. It's kind of take it easy, guys. This, it's hard work sailing this laser upwind. I need to chill out. And he's basically, everything is switched off. Yeah? It's passive. There's no muscle switched on here. His feet are in the cockpit floor. He's just relaxed. The guy on the other side, the red guy, he's kind of switched on. He's kind of like, look at me, I'm cool. Well, actually, that's not what he's doing. He's actually saying, I could feel a tremor in China with my right foot at the moment because I'm so in contact with the way this boat feels. I can feel every slight change in trim through my body, my quads, the tension in my knees, the tension in my stomach. I can feel every different nuance of trim change. Yeah? What's more important is, if the opposite of this gust of wind happened, and the boat started to roll towards us and we lost power, the guy on the left really has got no cards to play. He's already looking at his feet, and there's no muscle switched on, so from a physical perspective, the only he could do is maybe bend his head a bit closer, but that's not going to make much difference. He could perhaps cheek walk, couldn't he? Because that would make something happen. He'd move in a bit if he cheek walked. Whereas the guy on the right, he's got his muscle switched on. He can move his bum like this. He can move his shoulders in. He's fired up. He's ready to change. Every single moment, he's ready for it. So he's prepared to push the envelope. He's pushing it really hard. He's heel to windward. But he can change really quickly and bring his body weight in. Because he doesn't have to rely on what you might think is the way of powering up, which is pushing that rudder. Okay? The guy on the left, he's only got one ticket. The only thing he does when he gets underpowered is push the rudder. Because he wants to go closer to the wind to get more power. The guy on the right just says, it's okay. He brings his body in. He brings his shoulders in. He's fitter. He's actively wanted to win this race, but that whole thing gives them a whole different perspective on the off-wind legs. The guy on the right, we haven't talked about the second possible positive. Don't really want to leave them out because they always happen. The passing jury boat, shall we call it. Nice big wave comes along to both of them. The guy on the left gets this nice passenger boat wave, which of course just tips them enough to get more weather helm, which means the boat tends to go away from where you're going. Whereas the guy on the right gets this little wave and goes, surf, away with it. So anything positive to happen, this guy's the winner. Anything negative happens, this guy's got only one trick. He's going to push the rudder away from him. This guy's got all sorts of things. He can move his body in. He can move body in and then sheet. He's got it all because he's ready and active. So we'll play the video a little bit further to see what happens. Well, we didn't follow him to jibe mark. We saw on the next leg, the guy in red, bum well in the boat, shoulders well out. You know, he could be having a nice rest now, but his bum's in about a foot on the side deck, taking, you know, looking cool. Okay? But feeling the boat. And the boat's going low and fast, and low and fast, and low and fast. Okay? The guy in blue, he tends to like to hike and go high because we'll talk about the psychology of this in a minute, but he likes to go high and fast because he feels safer. And the reason for that is, when he's hiking, he's got his quads activated. So when the wind dies a bit, he can use his quads to bring him in. So he has something switched on. And when he has that, he doesn't fall going for a swim. Sadly, once he's activated the quads a couple of times to bring his body in, he goes to passive mode, and that one trick, which is the push the rudder trick, stops working. So there he's pushing it a bit here. He's got enough in him to maybe bring his bum in and push the rudder. There he did it. Right, that was good. He managed to get in enough, push the rudder and get the boat to start to turn up. If he doesn't use the weight first, but just pushes the rudder, he's in danger of this, A, slowing down, but B, capsize. So does he do it again? He does it again. He got away with it. He pushed the rudder again as the boat rolled on top of him. He got away with it this time. Will he get away with it next time? Well, the next person that comes in the clip is I know this girl's name, Katie Archer. Perhaps I always remember a girl's name, sorry. Katie Archer went to the Youth Worlds that year. She won the Youth Nationals. She is going to come into clip, and she's going to a really good, moving the body weight in, pushing the rudder. She's safe. The guy in the blue is going to experience this reduction in wind too, and he's going to use his one trick, which is push the rudder. And when he does it, this time, it's once too many. Now, I'm eternally disappointed in myself that I never managed to find this person, because I don't know if you know me, but I'm always the person who says, you don't want to do it like that, I want to do it like this. And I never found this person to say, you should have done it like this, and I know exactly what you're going through, because he capsizes to windward quite a lot. So guess what? He likes sailing with the boat heel to leeward all the time, because this keeps happening to him. This laser keeps throwing him in the wind or in the water. And if only he knew the tricks at feeling the boat, he could be more confident. And if only he knew this thing behind him wasn't how you steered a boat, but it was his weight that steered the boat, he'd have been fine. But I hope he's never given up sailing, and I hope he's still doing it. But that was the problem. So, let's take it on a little bit. And now I want to talk about another related subject. Because once you start talking about how the rudder shouldn't be the thing you use to steer, I'm now going to throw a fast card in. So I'm going to say that the rudder is the thing you should use at times, because those two laws are still true. If you pull the rudder towards you, the boom will go towards the water. If you push the rudder away from you, the boom will go away from the water. It can be your friend as well. So we're going to whiz forward, checking I'm doing good time. Here we go. What I'm actually playing here is the raw footage that I've got as a bonus at the back of the DVDs. And of the downwind DVD, I think this one is. So a death roll is something that lots of club sailors tend to experience. And they don't quite understand why it is, and they tend to think they need to use more kicker, and they go around the top mark and they nosedive and all that sort of thing. And I often find myself trying to draw on a piece of sand or a bit of dirt and say, have you ever heard of happy sails and sad sails? I didn't do it this way on the DVD, but I've developed it in my talks. I do a lot of talks around the country. So I've got this weird concept, okay? That if you were to draw the wind down the board, that a sail that goes from there to there is a happy sail, okay? I'm going to draw it in blue, just to make it look like it's an unhappy sail. But if a sail starts here and does that, then it's an unhappy sail, okay? Not an unhappy sail. Now, a few hundred years ago, these big ships with big square riggers used to sail around the oceans, okay? And the rudder was about the size of a dustbin lid. So nobody sailed the boats with a rudder. They sailed the boats with the sails. And funnily enough, somewhere, some clever person years ago developed the sort of aspect ratio and the centre of drag and all that sort of stuff so that boats sailed themselves with their sails. And we've carried that on, because boats tend to sail themselves to their, to go through this process. Because if you make a sail unhappy, amazingly, on a big square rigger, if you drop the sail a certain distance, the boat will respond and go to the point where the sail's happy. So if you were to be sailing along in a single-hander, say, and you let the sail out that far, what the boat does, actually, it goes into a bit of wild death roll. It starts rolling on top of you, and if you're not holding the rudder or trying to fight it, the boat will slowly bear away to the happy place, okay, and carry on. Now, you might experience happy sails and sad sails in other ways too. You might not have chosen to do it, but you might be a boat sailing on a run down here, la 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 la, and a gust of wind hits the boat, and the leech, of course, being the softer part of the mast, opens first. So I was a happy sail a minute ago, and now I'm an unhappy sail. And amazingly, if you don't fight it, the boat will start to death roll, and if you don't fight it, the natural curve on the boat, okay, and the fact that the sail is now to the right of the center line, the boat will slowly start to track around to try and recover the sail back to a happy place. Okay? And then you might find the gust has gone, you have to ease the sail out again to carry in that direction. It happens a lot. And I see people at the point of this gust of wind. There's a YouTube clip of a single-hander, popular single-hander now, that had a gust of wind and the guy nosedived heavily and fell out the boat and all that sort of stuff. And what he got was a big gust of wind, the leech went forward, and I'm sure, but I didn't see it on the video because the rudder's not shown, he's thinking, oh my God, and he's pushing the rudder because he didn't want to go this way. And of course, the rudder acts as your classic lifting plane. And the boat's heeled to windward and it's going, woof, and straight down the mine. Fantastic. A person has got a question. Have you got a microphone? He's going to run forwards. I love questions. Thank you. You'll get a DVD set at half price for that.
Hi there. I had a death roll situation just a couple of weeks ago, and I thought, because I remember a small part of your boat which was serious, I saw some years ago at my sailing club. I thought, right, I know what Steve says. I know what to do this time. And as I got into a death roll, I leaned in and bared away. But I still had a death roll. So I was just wondering, you said the leech goes forward,
yeah.
And then if you don't fight it, you're saying the boat will start to bear away? No.
Well, what we're going to show now, hopefully, is Lawrence. Keep asking the questions. And he's going to experience this situation. He's going to... I'm going to add different shapes of boats in a minute to this, so we're going to talk about different boats at different angles. But Lawrence, I think he'd capsized 15 times, and he was kind of tired. He got it up for the 15th time. It was 30 knots plus, I promise. But what he's he's kind of a little bit shell-shocked now because he doesn't know where he is. The wind is blowing in that direction, okay? So he's got his mainsail out at sort of almost dead run sort of pace. So he's saying, unfortunately, I could turn my board upside down, I think. But unfortunately, he's saying, I'm an unhappy sail, okay? So the boat's saying, I'm listening, I'm doing what you told me to do. You want me to bear away really quickly here? I'll do exactly as you say, right? That's what the boat's listening to. And Lawrence is going, I'm quite happy to go straight on and have an easy time because Steve promised to sail it at wind for me, okay? So he's got the boat going again. He's sitting a bit too far forward. And the sail's in this unhappy place. So the boat's saying, okay, I understand. You want to bear away fast. No problems. I'm going to do it for you. I promise. That's how it's designed. And off it goes. Oh, hang on a minute. And at the moment, by some sheer fluke, he's kind of grabbed the side deck and there's a little bit of positive tiller on, bearing away. A little bit. Now, I'm going forward a little quicker. It's starting to get a little dodgy now. At the point where the foils start leaving the water, you're not quite sure they're ever going to bite, okay? But the foils won't really matter, so long as he just hangs on. Now, if I had £1 for every time in a little one-on-one, club session with somebody or coaching session, you'd have heard me scream, bear away, at the top of my voice until I can't speak. I've done that so many times to people, and they're like, at some point, they hear this thing and they go, ooh, like that. They stay upright and go, ooh, what happened then? It really does do it. But you have to be reasonably violent. Okay, it's not a gentle thing. It's quite aggressive. But Lawrence, sadly, it's not me in the back of the boat. It's a camera. I'm probably chuckling naughtily at the background, thinking, thank goodness for that. You've done it for me, Lawrence. I love you. So, but the boat's trying to take over. The boat's doing its bit. It's designed to keep itself upright, so the boat's going to try. And as we just frame by frame, we'll see that the horizon's started to come back to somewhere like normal. Maybe it's at its worst, but it will come round. I'm dragging this out, aren't I? I like the drag out. It's coming back. The horizon's coming back. Happy now? Yeah? It's coming back. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Yeah, the horizon's coming back. We're all going to be okay. The boat's saying, I did what you said. I did what you said. You let the sail out far. You want me to bear away quick. Did what you said. Anyway, here it goes. Lawrence is thinking, oh, thank goodness for that. I'm in control again. Okay? Oh. But I didn't want to go that way. I wanted to go that way. Okay? So Lawrence does something he shouldn't do. He pushes the rudder. And then you can see the bow going under as the rudder's pushed. Yeah? You can see it going under because the rudder's acting as a lifting plane. And the rudder, second law, first law, pull the rudder towards you, but goes towards the water. Second law, push the rudder away from you, the boom will go away from the water. Lawrence will keep pushing because he didn't want to go that way. And now he's committed. Now the bow's gone under so far that the rudder's starting to lose its potential grip anymore, but the boat's stopping as well, so it's like, brakes on. Fabulous trick in team racing doing this, you'd literally stop, Anyway, a couple of frames on. Oh, let's go back to swim time. Splosh. So, there are people that still don't really believe me that this works. Now, obviously, it's a bit trickier in a two-man boat, but actually, if the leech is so far forward on your kicker that the boat's doing this horrible roll, just bear away. The worst you can do is jibe. So, this is, again, a little shot of me using this thing. Because when you sail with the sail too far out, the boat wants to bear away. Then you can use the other thing, which is use your body weight to make the boat go flat. And then the boat says, but you want me to bear away. And then you can say, no, get down. And then the boat says, but you want me to bear away again. And this is a really useful technique to destabilize the boat, because sailing in waves is kind of a straight line thing. The boat's got a straight line, it's got a V-bow, and it goes wave, wave, wave. Yeah? But if you can destabilize the boat, you can start ducking and diving. I had a guy who was a famous dinghy sailor in the UK. Came up to me at the 2001 Laser Radial Masters Worlds, and he said to me, I can't beat you now, you've got 9 firsts. He said, but can you do the modification to my rudder? I'll pay you, whatever it costs, so that it steers like yours does, but it still passes measurement. And I said, the only thing that would stop me swapping my rudder with yours is that I've got my stamp on it, and if I swapped it with you, I might get disqualified. I don't want to lose the Worlds, but I promise I'll teach you how to do it. But it was that he just couldn't believe that the boat could be that unstable. Because actually, sailing downwind, I might come back to this bit again. Sailing downwind is all about trying to be unstable in a single-hander, probably being the opposite, being super stable in a two-hander or a three-hander. And the reason you do it in a single-hander is you'd be yesterday's wind-blown waves in one direction. I need a red pen. And today's wind-blown waves in a different direction. And then you get some wonderful things happening. You get constructive interference and destructive interference. So you get a big hollow, big wave, big hollow, big wave. And that means that waves stand up in, you get a big wave and going to a smaller wave and going back to a bigger wave and going to a smaller wave, and all these little gaps in between. So there are flat spots down there and there are straight spots here. It's a bit like looking at a U-lot, in chairs, perhaps slightly more spread apart. So when you sail downwind in waves, you're kind of looking for, not to try and hit the wave in front, because as soon as you hit the wave in front, you'll be behaving rather like an American sailor I tried to help once. His concept of sailing downwind in waves is, he used to see a big wave, and he'd want to have the fastest ride he could have down the wave. Rubbish diagram, sorry guys. Let's have a bit less blunt bow. So he wants to go down waves as fast as possible. Unfortunately for him, that tended to mean occasionally he wasn't so happy because he carried on. Or more generally, he was the one who was kind of stuck between two waves, not going forwards. Not enough power to get through it, no speed to do it, he couldn't go forwards. Now, if you can have agility, you can make the boat agile, you can make a turn not lose too much. So you can push to leeward, the boat turns, pull the sailing. We'll talk about this a bit more in a minute. And you could start finding gaps between the waves. And you can surf along behind the wave, behind the wave, behind the wave, behind the wave. Where's the gap, where's the gap, where's the gap? And then you see a gap in the wave, you go, hey, that's my chance. Because when you're going behind the wave, you're going uber fast. You're going twice as fast as the wavefront. But it's there, stopping you. And when you find the gap, like this little row of chairs here, in fact, let's have a sail. Here we are, the wind's blowing from me to you lot now. So I'm in my boat. I'm reaching along really fast, really fast, really fast, really fast. Hope the feedback doesn't get in, guys. And then I see a gap. Hang on. Happy sail. I see a gap. Make it an unhappy sail. Boat rolls on top of me. And I drive through the gap. There's a gap. And I take it as long as I can until it runs out. Then I hop to another wave. So being agile is the biggest thing. If you are constantly thinking that uses the rudder, then you're wrong. As this American experienced, because I do my normal, you don't want to do it like that, you do it like this type thing. And so I got him to follow me. I said, come on guys, heat it up a bit, go a bit faster, find the gap, keep going quicker. And then I said the one thing I should never have said to anybody. When I saw the gap, I said, bear away. Because what does that mean to most of us? Pull the rudder towards you, So of course, the boom hit the wave, the bow nosedived what was left of the gap, and the boat kind of capsized to leeward and stopped. And I thought, before I try and teach people the fun of waves, I've got to explain to them that there's a different way of steering the boat. And actually it works everywhere around the racetrack, around every mark, around everything you do. You can gain more by just doing the simple things better. So when I coached Olympic level girls in Europe, they just did simple things, just better, concentrated on the things that we all do, rather than worrying about what master rate they had, what sales they bought, what the rig tension was. Just doing the simple things better made a massive difference. So if I go back to my happy sales, sad sales a second, this is where I wish I had a flip chart, which I was offered, so I'm not going to complain. So, big sale, big happy sale, big unhappy sale. So your boat, with this happy sale, sad sale, my hypothesis is, that's a big word, must have learned that at a big brick university somewhere, is that a boat could sail in that direction with a happy sail. It could sail in that direction with a happy sail. It could even sail in that direction with a happy sail. That's my hypothesis. And so long as the sail's happy, there's a safe way of sailing. And the moment I do something to make the sail unhappy, I'm asking it to do that thing that happened to poor old Lawrence. I'm asking it to do something, it feels unnatural, but it starts to make it a change of direction. So if I'm doing it when I'm on this reach leg here, and I let the sail out to the blue angle, the boat is going to want to bear away quite rapidly to that angle, and the blue sail is happy. The rudder might follow me, and the rudder might even be a useful tool to prevent it going too quickly. So this is the video clip of me playing with the instability to make a boat agile, and in fact, completely illegally at the moment, because there's no waves worth dancing on. This is just simply a training session, if you like. Simply getting the ability to start the boat feeling free and open to do turns and that sort of thing, so that when I find real waves, the really big ones, I can do it easily. So here I am, sail out too much, pushing to the leeward deck, a little bit naughty really. Like I say, this is illegal. Oh, something happened to me. Oh God. That gust of wind hit to make that unhappy sail a very unhappy sail. And I'm in danger of going into a first swim. And they're watching me on camera. Oh my God. So what I've got to do is a quick jab of the rudder, really hard jab. Okay? That's going to sink the transom. It's going to mean that the bow is going to come up, which means my wettest surface area has come back, so the rig is trying to blow itself back downwind. It's going to mean that that rudder is going to try and take that water, and it's going to try and bring the boat back upright again. Okay? And it doesn't take long for it to look like it was just a distant memory. Like I say, I'm not doing it subtly. It's a, ram it hard over, and suddenly the boat accelerates. Just a distant memory. If you've got a little bit of sheet in your hand and you pulled a bit in, that's not going to hurt either. Because as the gust comes, bear away and in with the sheet, you're recovering that leech that's blown forwards to bring it back to normal again. That'll help faster. Okay? So I talked to a lot of club sailors who don't like this whole feeling, and they want to use more and more kicker to ever get that problem. But that tends to make their boat really hard to sail in strong winds, because more kicker tends to mean a gust of wind hits, and it's kind of all the power's to the left of the centre line of the boat, all the power's on the leech. Whereas when you have an open sail, most of your power's at the luff, which is much easier to manage. A gust of wind with a kicker-sheeted sail tends to turn you that way. Okay? So, and the other obvious thing is that I'm never trying to sail directly downwind. I'm always trying to reverse the flow on the leech, or I'm trying to have the flow from the leech to the luff. Now, How are we doing on time? We're doing okay, a little bit more to go. So, this is the little clip that tries to prove my hypothesis, okay? I got a lucky break. I got a coaching job in the Cayman Islands for a week. Very nice. But I jumped into Europe because I had to try and show her this hypothesis. And as the camera pans out, you'll realize that it's an onshore breeze, and I'm trying to do as fast turns as possible whilst keeping the sail in the happy place. Or at least that's the bit I want you to think at the moment. So that's on a run, that's by the lee, that's on a reach, that's back to by the lee again, that's on a reach. So can you almost believe that the sail kind of stayed in the same place? Yeah? No? Yes? Maybe? I like audiences that are rowdy. So be as rowdy as you like, okay, because it makes it easier for me. But of course the reality was that the sail wasn't always happy. I did some little unhappiness to try and make things happen for me. Okay? So we'll play it through again. It's now under a tidal transitions. So the boat is balanced and stable, and off we go. La 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 la, it's a nice day in the office. And I'm going to just drop the sheet, and if you watch carefully, you'll see the leech just ripple as I've dropped just 6 inches of sheet out, maybe 7 or 8 or 9, I don't know, but not much. Just release the sheet. There's a ripple there. And that says, the boat says, I'm listening. You want me to bear away now? Oh, rolls to windward and it bears away. Okay? This was a fairly passive bear away because I didn't use the rudder as well. So it bears away. Okay? Now, yeah, please. He's got a question. I'll pay you later. Switched off. Or maybe they've got a different channel. He's getting there. You're on now.
Hello, that's me. So that ripple on the sail, looking forward to the payment later, cheers. Is that when the sail's almost about to jibe?
No, that was a ripple of me just literally dropping the boom. So I just dropped the boom, and the sail kind of went poof. That was the effect of the ripple.
Okay, cool.
Yeah?
Got you.
So I'd taken a happy sail, I dropped it, make an unhappy sail, and the sail kind of went, oh, yes, I'm back again.
So it's just a vibration going
So it's
down
just
the
the fact that the wind had taken up again at that point that set the instability up and the boat starts to bear away.
Gotcha.
Okay?
Thank you.
So this is the first passive bear away. And of course, like that poor chap, I've got other tools in the toolkit at the moment to head up. I don't push the rudder because the rudder's going to do the splosh. But I am on my feet and I'm going to do a knee kick. All right? So that's going to induce the upturn. And the speed of the upturn is going to be quite hard because as you press, suddenly the boat starts turning underneath you. You've got to really press hard against the boat turning. Be warned that there's going to be some sort of centrifugal force, especially with old aluminium masts. So these are old days now. So there's going to be some centrifugal force holding the boat, holding the power in the sail effectively, making it feel like it's more power. But it's all false. It's not there. It's all in the force of the weight of the boat in the turn. So you can't just idly stand there thinking it's all going to be fine. You've got to sheet the sail in so that as you get to the new reach and you've stopped turning and the centrifugal force is gone, you don't go splosh to windward. Unless you want it to heel to windward violently and you bear away hard.
So you're coming into the boat and then coming straight back out again for the reach?
I'm just doing that, like I said, to turn up, you press into the boat. You wait first, sheet, rudder follows. Bear away, drop sheet, boat heels to windward, use the rudder to finish it. Okay? That's the best bit about it. It's so nice. You're going around a wave, and you see a wave, and you think, okay, there's a gap, drop sheet, boat heels to windward. As you bear away, watch on the next bear away. If you use more rudder, the rudder's a sinking plane, it lifts the bow over the wave. What's even more naughty is that as you bear away, the sail's going to get a pump. Watch my sail go towards the wind. And so you can put the bow through a wave, you can put the sail past the wave you want to pass, then you use the rudder to take yourself through with the sail in the same place, the boat's through the wave now, and you can sail down the wave. So it's worth practicing.
Thank you. Cheers.
We're there. We're there. I'm not going to ask questions. We know we've got more famous people to do some talking now and that sort of stuff. But thanks, everybody. If you do want to get some DVDs, if you've not seen the DVDs, they're half price on the Rooster stand. Okay. Thank you, everybody.